Well, here we are in the historic district of Lincoln, going by the old Tunstall McSween store. So it's built in 1877. Pretty neat little building here. It's an interesting old post office. Walk in and see if I can get some information. Welcome to the Lincoln Museum and Visitor Center. I just paid my admission fee and I'm going to look at their displays in here. And then I will go out and see what I can see and take some pictures. Some old Indian wear. Pretty neat old kettle from the 1850s and a ladle from about the same period of time. And here is the old chuck wagon. Couple branding irons. I could not imagine having this as my means of transportation. That's pretty cool. Couple of old saddles. Boy, they look neat too. A lot of craftsmanship into those. Moving on to the other part of the museum, have a few more displays here. Trying to avoid that wooden floor because it makes a lot of noise. Got a painting of the gunfight going on here. This is really neat that this town has preserved so much of its artifacts. Let's go out and have a look. Just leaving the museum and visitor center. Dustin in there had a lot of really good information, and my next stop is going to be a Western art gallery. This ought to be absolutely amazing. This is actually in the Luna House. So let's go see what we can find. Wow, check out the old building. Look at that floor and the ceiling. Let's go have a look. Oh, wow. This is just impressive. Take a look at this model of an old stagecoach. Like the Indians were catching the stagecoach. I guess that's why they called it the Wild West. Man, that is impressive. Look at this one, the posse. Billy and his regulators, Billy the Kid. It's an impressive painting. And there is an old early style photographer And here we have a couple of makeups of some of the characters. Billy the Kid, called Escape. Okay, so now we're going to walk into the other half of this museum. Okay, there's some beautiful artwork in here. Got a beautiful old rug on the floor. Torion, I saw that when I drove into town. We'll go have a look at that. Some really pretty old sketches here. There's one other little room here. Let's go take a look at it. It's the Billy the Kid room. More Billy the Kid memorabilia, comic books, etc. Heard the name, but never really have studied it very much. Pretty neat. All in all, it's a great museum. Okay, so I just finished looking in the Western Art Gallery, which is on the other side of those windows. It was pretty impressive. And on to the next location, which I believe is this brown and blue colored building across the street here. Make sure it's safe, and I'm going to go ahead and cross. This is the Montano store. This was their general store. Let's go have a look. Oh, neat. I got a couple of the goods that they would have had here. Boy, look at that counter. That is really pretty. And they're showing their goods they would have been selling. Fruits and vegetables. I love the old ladles. This store was opened in the 1860s. Look at the ceiling. Another counter. Good step up here. I wonder how many people trip over this. This is the old adobe style construction. Oh, look at that bench. That looks like a church pew. Who knows, it might have been. This, I guarantee you, is a church pew. Look at the end pieces. That definitely says church pew. And then in here was the proprietor's quarters. Had a bed. Nice little stove, because I guarantee you it gets nice and cold up here in the wintertime. This is really impressive. Next up is the earliest courthouse. Let's go inside and have a look. It's really neat to think that these structures were put up about 160 years ago. Okay, order in the court. Wow. And this looks like it also doubled as a saloon. Looking at this area here, I guess is where you would wait for your case to be heard. And a judge or a magistrate would be up there. And of course, we have the Territory of New Mexico flag. And this is the first Lincoln County Courthouse, 1869 to 1881. That is right where we are standing right now. Love the old bottles. Saloon, County Courthouse, and Priest House. Boy, you talk about a versatile use building. Now looking at that door there, they must have used that to lock people up. Old stove. And Lincoln's Spanish Hispanic community. Let's take a look at the ceiling of this building. Okay, after a pretty neat tour of the Convento, which was a courthouse, looks like it was a saloon at some point, going on over to the church, San Juan Bautista. And unfortunately the church is closed due to some construction going on, but not closed for photography. So I'm going to walk around and take a few pictures of it. Really a beautiful old church. Okay, walking across the street from the church, we see this next thing called a Torreon. And this looks like it was a fort of some description to where the defendants of the town could stay. They would put sharpshooters in there and to defend themselves from the Apaches. Looks like a pretty robust structure. I'm not thinking you can get in there. It doesn't look like it. That's locked. I don't blame them. You never know what people are going to do. Check out this construction though. Looks like stone and mud. That is pretty serious looking. That looks like an old general store here. Established 1932. All kinds of neat artwork up there. Let's go in and have a look. Oh, what a beautiful old store.
It's just immediately next door. Okay, thank you. Make sure you tell her I sent you. Will do.
Well, the last stop on my Lincoln tour is going to be the old Lincoln County Courthouse, which is chock full of history. I want to go check that out. And then after that, looks like I'm going to head up to Fort Stanton. Built in 1874. This should be interesting. Let's go have a look. Wow, check out that ugly dude in the mirror there. Hello. I'm outstanding. How are you? Okay, we're at the courthouse now, and this room here is to honor all the sheriffs and deputies who died in the line of service. This originally was a billiard hall, and then it served as a courtroom. It's kind of interesting mixing up court and bar room, billiards, etc. Yeah, that's something I don't ever want to wear. This is to honor all of the officers. Lawman's Memorial. The men who wore the star. And there's a picture of this room when it was used for billiards. Okay, moving through the mezzanine area of the old courthouse. Got a couple displays here and another one of these beautiful old stoves. Can you imagine the stories told around that? Round oak. And just looking at this room here, you see all kinds of different stuff. I love the furniture. Old benches. Well, let's go back up to this side. This is Billy the Kid's last escape. He made his infamous escape from this building. Killed 2 deputies in the process. Interesting. Wow. So much history in here. Apparently this is an old vault. Look up at the ceiling. I would assume they probably kept money and court records in here. Look at the floor. Really beautiful old floor. Okay, so walking on through the building. This is where Billy the Kid was sentenced to be hanged. Interesting looking picture here. Interesting looking pistol called a boot pistol. This is a Colt revolver, U.S. Army model 1860. I bet that thing had a recoil like none other. Look at the writing. Here we see a picture of Billy the Kid. And here, lo and behold, is the bullet hole from Billy the Kid's shot at the deputy. They have it placed behind plexiglass because people were picking away at it. But here we have another hole down here. Then as you go upstairs, this is the sheriff's office. This was the old armory. Looked like a cot. Short person for an uncomfortable rest. And here is the courtroom. This is where Billy the Kid stood trial. And there is the jury box. Another one of these beautiful old stoves. Canon National. It's an interesting looking stove. Pretty neat to think of all the cases that were probably heard in here. These were the leg irons that Billy the Kid wore. And apparently he cut them off. These are some of the bars from the original jail. I hear somebody. This is an area where voting was held. Okay, the lady at the courthouse told me that the Tunstall store is open, and so I raced up here as quick as I could to have a look around, and this is the old general store. Let's take a look at some of their artifacts they have in here. Wow, this is what you would have seen years ago if you came in here. That's what they would weigh out your goods on. And this is where they would keep their money and their important documents. And this was their living quarters. This is really fascinating. what is really interesting, if you take a look at some of the wares that they had here, it's really fascinating. Let's look more at their counter here. Looks like a lot of kids' shoes, some tools, and then when you look back there, dresses, hats. Oh, I'm so glad I made it over here. This is amazing. Looks like their old ledger. October 17th, 1870. Old cash register. Goodness, this is something. Here's where they sold rope, all different sizes. Looks like some kind of a machine here. What it is, I have no idea. J&P Coats, I know that's threads. My mother used to use Coats threads. Here's an old yoke for the oxen. Old boot jack. Some of the brands they had for cattle here in Lincoln County. Oh, neat. Look at all this. I'm not sure what this is here. Wicker coffin. Okay, I was thinking it looked a lot like a coffin. Here's an old mail wagon. Now that is really neat. There's a chemical cart over there. Look at some of the old signs. Oh, one of these old bicycles. I think I would end up getting injured on one of those.